feel like framing this video in this way of like speaking to the younger version of me, or the version of you that is you right now. Kind of this more mature version speaking to the less mature version, and that being from this perspective that is more mature, that you wouldn't have when you were immature. If you take shame out of the equation, maturity is not better than immaturity, in this way that immaturity is somehow bad or something, or somehow lacking. And you will come to find, and this is something that I am coming to find, that maturity is just immaturity in the hands of God, and grace naturally growing you the way in which you were made to be. I think it's even like in the air, like when we were kids, we were told there's this pressure upon us to grow up, grow up, grow up. And it's not until you live life for a while. And I think when you live through something that you always thought was going to be there, your idea of something, and you not being in where you thought you were going to be, but then looking at where you are, but with a different feeling about it. One that, yes, it's scary, because you're coming from a place where you're like, this is the idea of how my life should be. This is where I thought I'm going to be, where I'm supposed to be. This is where I'm aiming at. To let your life go in the hands of God can be very scary. It's definitely not something you can do in your own strength. And there are things that you will come to know by only going through it. That's where I can't give to the younger version of me a better way of getting to where I am today. As I find that where I am today is because of His grace. Because God has always held me in His hand. And I think the more mature version of me today just realizes how much He's had it all together. More than the immature version of me a couple of years ago that believed that it was on my shoulders. I think in immaturity, we put so much upon ourselves. And we think we have to get something right away. And if we don't get it, we're going to be cast back into darkness or something. It doesn't work like that with Him. And He's not expecting you to get it right away. But what seems to happen, and what seems to be the process of you becoming one who is mature, coming from immaturity, is continually seeing His faithfulness, His love that endures with you through all the seasons of your life. When you begin this thing with Him, you don't have that perspective yet. It takes time going through the things that He takes you through. His love that endures with you, not this faithfulness. You're just like, oh, you're faithful. Like, I need to get that. As if you don't get it, He's going to stop being faithful. There's a depth of knowing to this, right? There's a being solidified in that truth. There is an establishing in Him, in that place where you come to know by experience, having walked through things with Him. He is faithful. He is for me. He is the reassuring Father that is for me, and He's not needing me to get anything, because He doesn't seem to lack confidence in His ability to father me. And this takes the weight off of me. But in immaturity, I felt like I had to carry many things. And I had to carry those things, because that's where I was. See, like if the younger version of me looked at where I am today on paper, if you were just to describe my life, he would have a hard time believing that it would be okay. That it would be okay. That would be worth it. That there's actually honor in small things. But that's something that you will grow into as God gives you a greater perspective, a richer perspective that he is truly life. And it matters less about the things you are doing on a day-to-day basis. And it matters less about all of these things that you thought mattered. They don't matter. But it will take going through that for you to discover this. Right? The hard lessons of life. The suffering that was intended for you to go through with him. But there's actually producing something on the other side of it. This knowing of his faithfulness, this knowing of his love that's enduring with you forever. Going with you through every season. And in maturity, you have not had many seasons. But as you mature, you will look back on the seasons that you have had with God. And you say, you were with me in that season, and you were with me there, and you were with me when I didn't understand this, and you're with me when I thought I had to do this, and you're with me whenever I was trying to parent myself because I didn't know what it was like to have a father, and you were with me, and you were with me, and you were with me. You see, he can't just come into your immaturity and tell you to be better. Because there's not an actual rush for you to get to where he is taking you. And I think the more that you mature in the Lord, the more you will see that your days have been thought out by him. This is something I'm coming to know. The path in which he has chosen for me is for me. The lane in which he has selected for me. The process. How long I'm going to be in the wilderness. The things that are going to come up in this place. The things that we are going to overcome together. The things that he is going to show me that he is faithful in, that alleviates me from feeling like I have to carry the burden. It's not like someone who is mature can tell an immature person how to become mature quicker. No, it is a seed that turns into a plant. There is time that it is in the ground. You will be in the ground. It is his timing. You surrender to his timing. And in this place, which feels very much like your trust falling into something you don't know anything about, but you are set up to jump off that cliff. You are set up to trust fall. At the right time, you will be set up to trust fall deeper into grace. At the right time, you will be shipwrecked on an island, and you will believe all the things, the fears most likely that people normalized around you about what it is to be shipwrecked on an island. And then from that place, he will dismantle your perspective before, come in with the light of his perspective that then gives you a new perspective. To be shipwrecked on an island with him is truly the best thing that could ever happen to you. Because it stopped you from all the self-management. It stopped you dead in your tracks. And it took what it took. It took what it took to get you where you are. But you will have this perspective concerning your life. You will have this freedom, this liberty. It's not a place you can get to in your own strength. And so you will have to go the scenic route with him. You surrender to that scenic route. See, it's not about, because an immature person feels like they're not mature enough. But it's like a mature person looks at immaturity a different way. A mature person will look at immaturity and say that is where you were, and that's where you needed to be. Right? And there isn't actually a rush to become mature. Because he is with you in immaturity, and he's with you as he matures you, and he's with you when you become mature, as you continue to mature. And as you begin maturing, you will look back on immaturity in a different way. You will look back at it in a different way. You were never lacking anything. There was never something you had to get a handle on. You weren't going to be cast out into the darkness. But you had to go through immaturity. You had to go through the seasons of your life that felt like being forsaken to see his faithfulness, to come to know of his faithfulness that has become solid to you. You had to go through it to learn. This is why I say I'm coming to learn, because it's like I'm being adjusted to a new way of being. It's taking time. There's a gentleness to this. It's not overnight. But I would look back and say, you were always right where you were supposed to be. And now you are where you are because he has taken you there. he has taken me.